What is up, guys, and welcome to another episode of my HLTV. Today we are looking at EPL Season 20 play. This is my lineup from D&D. Liquid and Vitality didn't disappoint. They did very well. Then Mouse, horrible. Not gonna lie, I just don't even know what to do with this season anymore. Like, what am I supposed to do if Mouse can't make EPL playoffs when they have like 3 chances to make it? It's just weird. There's been some unfortunate results for my fantasy lineups. That's how it goes sometimes. You can't control how things go every time. Also just didn't use my chicken booster ever, so Shuhei would have had definitely some games where it would have been a good booster to use, but unfortunately didn't ever know when that was gonna happen beforehand, of course. So yeah, we go on from the 6 points still. Surprisingly okay, considering I have double Mouse who were eliminated. But it is what it is. These are the most picked players for playoffs. I think we're just gonna go through the entire bracket. It's very interesting always, in my opinion, to look at the bracket. I'll zoom in so we can really study this bracket. I've been pondering a lot of different options here, a lot of different lineups. Let's first go through all the matchups and who I think is gonna make it far and who I don't think is gonna make it far. So Big Mongols, I would say Big have been okay so far at EPL. Make it this far is pretty good for them. Step up, but I would say Mongols are favored. Eternal Fire, Mongols is a very 50-50 matchup. Eternal Fire on their day can definitely win, and I would say the stage element slightly benefits them, but it's not like the biggest crowd, so I wouldn't think about it too much. And then I think Mongols are just more consistent. Eternal Fire have one of their bad days. Mongols can definitely win, but it's a very 50-50 matchup in my eyes. Either one should get beaten by Vitality. I think Vitality have been incredibly solid. I think it's kind of underrated how good they've been lately, because they weren't always this consistent, and now they're kind of just winning matches. They're only losing to like the top teams if they're losing to teams. And I think they are probably one of the likeliest candidates to make grand finals. Then VP, Heroic, Mibber, M80 is probably the weakest selection of teams we have. I think those are some of the weakest teams in the playoffs, and they're all in this group of 4. So M80, for example, like, nothing against the team. I really like the squad actually, and I hope they do well. But like, these are the matches they had to play to make it straight to that stage. I wouldn't look at it too much and be too excited by it. Complexity, Fnatic, Imperial aren't the sorts of teams that M80 shouldn't beat. You know, they're not punching above their weight to make it here. They're just playing up to their level to make it here. I think these are all teams that they could beat. The interesting thing is that they have 2-0'd all of these matchups. That's very impressive. So they are on a good run, but I still wouldn't rate them extremely high. Like, if they win here, which is completely possible, I wouldn't expect them to do much against Vitality, and that makes Vitality as a pick a lot better as well. VP, Heroic, though, let's talk about that first. So I would say VP are slight favorites. I think Heroic is the team that is in deeper troubles lately, although both teams seems to be in a bit of a troublesome period. And then MIBR, I mean, they're always the kind of team where I'm like, they are playing fine. They have some great individuals. In Sonny, for example, a great individual. I don't know what to expect from them. I think they could win against VP. They could win against M80. But again, if they make it up against Vitality, I don't think it's going to be a pretty showing for them. I would say the expectation is that VP actually wins all of these. Maybe against M80 they lose. And that makes VP as a budget pick kind of interesting, because they're starting in playoffs round 1. If you don't know how the padding works, it favors picking players that score a good amount of points in these early rounds of playoffs. That's essentially how you should look at it. And it slightly favors the cheaper players from the teams that make it to quarters, but of course always it's a matter of like if ZywOo goes ham in this event and just claims the MVP, wins all of their matches very handily, ZywOo's gonna be in the best possible lineup. Lower part of the bracket, this is probably the hardest. Like if this was the easiest possible path to the finals or semis, I would say this is the toughest possible path. FaZe complexity, hard to call right now. Like ask me a month ago or a couple months ago, I would say FaZe for sure. But complexity has been at least okay, and then FaZe has just not been playing up to their level at all. I think it's a pretty 50-50 matchup, but I would favor FaZe. I think the firepower is still good enough, and it is a playoffs, even if it is EPL playoffs. I still have faith in FaZe that they can start to play better, because we've seen better things from FaZe as well in some events and some matches. Like, should be possible for them to do well. And I think the ceiling is way higher than that of complexity, so I would favor FaZe. But I would favor Liquid against whoever wins against from FaZe and complexity. I would say Liquid have been proving that they are pretty solid at the very least. I think they are always competitive, and I think they have a higher floor currently than FaZe, and I think I would say ceiling is better for FaZe, but we haven't seen that ceiling often enough for me to pick them over Liquid. So I would say Liquid are favored against FaZe. G2 is favored against Liquid, but not by that much. And honestly, I think FaZe, for example, if they do happen to win against Liquid, would probably have a better chance of beating G2 than Liquid. Just a personal bias or just a random thought I had. Or I have no like logical basis to prove that on, but it's just a feeling I have. I think FaZe G2 could always be a banger matchup. Whereas I do think Liquid is probably going to struggle with that much firepower from players like m0NESY and from m0NESY and Nico, for example. I'll say G2 are favored here, and they should make it to semis. And then this is the one where the biggest decision will be made for me fantasy-wise. So we've got Spirit starting in playoffs round 1, and they have 2 matchups against Brazilian teams in Furia and Imperial, who I would say they should beat. But it is an emphasis on should. We don't know what's gonna happen. I'm not sure. Actually, so hard to call. I think I would favor Spirit. Like, you have to expect Spirit to make it up 2 quarters, I think. And the funny thing is that Spirit and Navi, like Spirit have won most of their recent games. I don't know, they haven't. I checked their like past encounters, and I didn't see many Navi wins there. I'm not sure if I saw any Navi wins in the last whatever event. So that is just bad for Navi if Spirit make it through. But if Spirit does make it through, they could win the whole event, and then it's really bad to not have Spirit players if they do happen to go through. But if Navi win against Spirit, that makes it a bit of a different scenario. So for me, in short, fantasy-wise, I would say the best teams to pick are like Vitality, VP, potentially. If you want to take a big risk, you could just pick VP and they could make it to semis. I don't know, like I have enough faith in M80 and MIBR that one of them might beat. So if I go VP, it's like one-off player. I think it's a matter of like VP or Vitality, maybe Liquid, if you want to go there. I would say Vitality, Spirit, Navi are the big hitters here. It's not a surprise, of course, to anyone that those are the best teams in the event, but what I'm thinking. Yeah, let's take a look at the actual lineup then. So I will tell you about one strategy that's interesting to me that I probably won't do myself here, but I'll tell you if you find a lineup that you like with this strategy, feel free to use it. Essentially, because M80 is in this stage, you could pick a player from M80 because it's like the cheapest player from M80, who I think is Swisher. He's gonna get 12 padding points from these 2 rounds that they skip. And then if you want, you can just go and throw the chicken booster on Swisher. And M80 get eliminated. Get like a couple minus points from these games. But you have like 184k player who is probably gonna end up, or should end up, pretty much positive. The only thing that can happen is that if M80 wins against VP and Swisher gets a lot of good points, that's bad. Or if you they win and you don't have the chicken booster left and they go against Vitality, you might be in some trouble as well. So there's some risks to it, but it is kind of a safe option if you want to go for it. It should guarantee at least like you can still go like bottom of scorecard on Swisher here, for example. Like it's not the end of the world even if he doesn't do that well. Then you just have to hope for no disaster rating here and that he doesn't get a lot of points here, even if they lose, you hope that he doesn't get a lot of points here if you use the chicken booster. But that's just an option that I thought of that is now slightly better because of the chicken booster and because of the extra padding you get. So, I mean, I guess these are the 3 teams I'm looking at mostly. Let's have these on here. What are some of the best options in my opinion? I think Chopper for 184k is the kind of player who can play like above 1.0 rating. Magix at 195k I do like as a pick. I think Donk is definitely a viable option here. If you believe that Spirit will at least do well here in the lower bracket against teams, if you think he's gonna actually beat Navi, that's a tough matchup to call. It really depends on this matchup to be Spirit Navi. That's essentially a reason why I'm at least considering going quite heavy on Vitality. Because I feel like Vitality is the real safe pick here, because they should always win here. They should always win in the semis. They should always make it to the grand final. But the problem for me is that like 4 of these players are reasonably priced. Like Apex, Saiwu, Flames, and things are all good, good value for money. I wouldn't go towards Messi unless I really want to go for a specific combination of other players. Like I did look at lineups like this, for example, with these players, and then you have to kind of go for Carrigan, I think. There's Cello and Kixan as options, but I would say Carrigan is still the best option out of those. Like this is an option that you could go for. I've looked at Navi lineups, a lot of different Navi lineups. I think all of these players again are pretty much viable. I think Alexi is potentially a bit overpriced here. Usually doesn't do that well fragging wise. I would have expected him to be closer to like 190. I don't know. It's the cheapest player on the highest ranked team. We do expect good things from, so he's an okay option as well. It's all about combinations here, and mostly I think it's about which 2 Vitality players you want to pick. Like the best value for money, in my opinion, is Dex and Spinks. But if you want to go for a safer pick than Spinks, Flamesy is safe. I think you could go for a Saiwu Spinks lineup. I think it was with these 2 guys. Yeah, and then we have to fill with Carrigan. I would love this, except for the fact that you have to have Carrigan in the lineup, which I do not like. Saiwu honestly is very potential. Well, the question here is like, this is the most problematic part about this whole draft. Vitality are starting in the quarterfinals, so going expensive on them doesn't really matter. Like you go expensive, all the expensive players are still only gonna get 6 matches. But then again, because they are the surest thing instead of Navi Spirit here, you have to play. Potentially have to play against each other. Might wanna like pick expensive players for the playoffs as well. I think personally, I'm gonna go for a bit of a middle ground. I don't think I'm gonna go for a Zaiwu lineup. So good though. Really interesting. Apex, Zaiwu. Wait, that was the other lineup I was looking at. Maybe we can do this or something with this at least. Can do this. Well, this is the kind of lineup that might just go for. This really comes down to whether or not I have faith in Zontix. He's generally been really good. This was horrible, though. He was so bad here, but generally he's been very solid. I wouldn't expect something like this to happen again. Spirit do well. It's also a matter of like, I don't like betting against Navi. If I can avoid it. I think the value Spirit offers is so high. And the problem with going for Vitality Navi is that you rely on a lot of padding points. I dislike. If you go for magics, what are some of the upgrades you can make? So we've got 193k then. There's no one really I want to go for. I don't really want to go for these players in these, like Swisher tactic is okay, but then he's kind of too cheap for this draft. This should be impossible. Yeah. And I also just like Chopper. If you're gonna have faith in Spirit, I think you go Chopper. Then again, if you have faith in Spirit, shouldn't you just? I think you should just go Kong if you have faith in Spirit. Then it would be like this. So annoying that there's like 1k missing from this draft. I think Messi just doesn't make sense if you go for this, to be honest. But you can't go for, I don't think. Maybe I should just go for a Navi lineup, just a balanced Navi Vitality lineup. I do like. It also makes it more fun for me to watch the games of Navi when I get to Navi. I should maybe take that into account, honestly, at this stage of the season. It's very close. It's like actually so close between Spirit and Navi, in my eyes. Because like recent results are in favor of Navi, but then like head-to-head statistics are in favor of Spirit. Maybe this is the time that Navi actually wins. You can make such a balanced lineup with Navi players, I think. Then you have to go Alexia. But that's not a problem. Yeah, this is I believe this is the first lineup I even thought of. I think it is probably one of the best lineups you can make here. It's really a question of like, what do we expect from Norbert? Norbert's been decent this event. That's like the only reason we are considering him. And he should have pretty easy matchups here. He's still got like 1.07 rating in this bar. And it's not like VPF won of every game either. It's like they've had some struggles, but he still had decent rating. I do have faith in Bit in playoffs. I think Alexi is a reliable piece. You can go Super Rounds, for example, then you can go IGL and Apex maybe, or Ecos. I just think this might be the best lineup. Is it very basic? It's pretty basic, but we have some. I like this lineup more than I like. Like also Donk is pretty highly picked, and I want to go against the grain a little bit. Yeah, you know what? Let's try this. Probably headshots on bit could be highest. Yeah, yeah. Oh. Probably support. Not eco. Probably support here. Where's Norbert, the support king? 2149. Yeah, he's a bit of a mess. Role wise. But that he's such a mess role wise. Could go JL here as well, but I do like Bit. I think he's. I do like both of them, to be honest, but like what I'm thinking is going for the Swisher lineup and then JL over Bit. But I don't think 184k is quite cheap enough. Like if Carrigan was here, I would definitely go Carrigan, get the padding, and then booster out, chicken booster out of there. I think that's such a good strategy for future events. Norbert really sucks in terms of roles. Holy. Everything is kind of really bad. Might be noob. Let's go with noob. It's the worst. Feels the worst to pick out of every role, I would say. You can't go for anything else. Support is not. I think it probably should be support. It's actually pretty close between eco-friendly and support. Maybe go eco-friendly here and then we go support here and we just the best. Then go IGL here. Then we go multi-fragger. Attacker for sure. Go attacker here. I feel like I am happy with this lineup. It's like it is honestly the first lineup that I thought of, if I'm not incorrect. So I'm very happy with this lineup. It just doesn't feel like it because there's too many options, and I feel like I could be making the wrong one by not going Spirit. But I don't know. I feel pretty comfortable with this. Honestly, I reserved the possibility to edit this lineup. I will be tweeting about it on Twitter if that happens. Like if I end up changing my mind and going Spirit instead, I will tweet that out. So follow me there. But my current thinking, and I won't be able to make a video before playoffs. They're starting like tomorrow when I am working. So this is my current thoughts. I think this is a very solid lineup. I think you can't go wrong with this. But who knows what's gonna happen. Go for boosters then. Well, boosters here doesn't matter. Out here versus heroic. I think I have to expect VP to make it some rounds further. This is also a reason to not go for this strategy. 4-6 health. Now I'm second guessing myself and I want to go for the Navi, for the Spirit. Yeah, you know what? I changed my mind. I think I want to go for a Spirit lineup. I think it is a Donk lineup. Yeah, but I think it's a Donk lineup. Is this possible anyway? 170 there. There's no A player. I think it's just a lineup. Or is it the double Spirit without Donk? Is it the Zaiwu lineup? It's not the Zaiwu. I think it's the Donk lineup. This is the most basic lineup, maybe. Now I'm second guessing whether or not I should go for like a Kickson, maybe. Kickson is not the worst gamble. They're the head-to-head. What are the odds saying about Heroic VP? It's not, for whatever reason, odds. They played, here's the head-to-head, 4-0 for VP. 13-4, 13-6, 13-11, and 13. That doesn't look good for Heroic. I wouldn't go hello. But if I have faith in Spirit, I do think it's... So then it is Carrigan. I should go Carrigan. And who's to say Face don't win some of these matchups? But it is going to be a noob Carrigan, I think. I really don't mind going for him either. I think it's probably Chopper with this then. Yeah. Probably support on Messi. Yeah. Role-wise, this seems to make more sense, and honestly, boosters matter here. Like the fact that I get to throw on boosters. Harrigan is probably noob. Make sure there's nothing weird here. Could be this as well. Oh. There's nothing that great for. Have to be IGL, but I think Apex is probably on IGL duty here. Yeah, and then here. And then Donk. I don't know what the best one for Donk is. Probably that. Trigger. Yeah. That. So then booster wise. I think we use a lot of the good boosters early here. Why not? Everything is so insane on Donk. Like, this is one of the reasons why I want to go for Donk. You need to be using these boosts. The question is, should I go like bottom scorecard here, or should I go for chicken? I think I go bottom scorecard. Then I can still chopper chicken later if Carrigan happens to lose here. Which I do expect, but I would say you can use bottom scorecard just as well as chicken. Because if he does really well, at least we have noob, and he's probably going to be bottom of scorecard as well. That's already like counteracting quite well. Mizzy probably on assist duty when we get there. Actually, Apex way higher assist. What is like the best? This is one of the best for Mizzy. That makes sense. We can say we don't have enough good stuff anyways. Probably assist here. I feel more comfortable with this. Really, it comes down to the fact that I don't want to go for both Vitality and Navi, and I really want to go Vitality. Because if I go Vitality Navi, the problem becomes that I have way too much padding. And I do think Spirit is gonna crush these teams. Like, even if they lose to Navi, it might not be that bad if Dunk really does well in those first two, and Chopper doesn't really badly. And if Spirit happens to win, which is like a 50-50 in my eyes, who's to stop them from winning the whole thing? Maybe Vitality, but then it's already a really good pick anyways. I just think this is the best lineup. Like, on paper at least. So yeah, that is the lineup. If I happen to change my mind again, I will post about it on Twitter. I don't think it's gonna happen. The only thing I can see happening is I don't go for Donk. I instead go for a different combination of Vitality, Spirit, and a different cheap player. And that would only be the case if I feel like Mizzy or especially Carrigan is too bad of a too big of a liability, but I don't think that's gonna happen. So yeah, follow me on Twitter so you'll get updates if that happens. Either way, if you enjoy this kind of content, please remember to leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in. Bye.